Hello dear UPSC aspirants, today is 31st January and we are ready with the must-read articles for 31st January. And I'm 𝐷𝐤𝐻𝐿, mentor from Prepp IAS, who's trying to make your newspaper reading very effective and fast, right? And I want to announce that from 1st February onwards, we will post daily 5 MCQs from the articles discussed in the videos on our Telegram channel, link of which will be written in the description from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so please stay tuned for that and it will help you revise things that you have read with me here. Also, we are going to share PDF of the things that we discuss here from 1st February onwards. Okay, so let's move. Let's start with today's newspaper. There's nothing much in the front page. I've just taken this article for you for prelims point of view, because what happened anywhere in the world can be asked in the prelims question, right? So US aircraft collides with chopper, 67 feared dead, right? So passenger plane collided with US military helicopter mid-air before crashing into Potomac River. So Potomac River mein ye hua hai in Washington, right? So we here the map is also made, this Potomac River. Here there is Washington DC White House, and the site of crash is just very close to White House. Okay, so remember Potomac River, where this sad incident or accident has happened. Let's move to the next article. So again, from prelims point of view, these are prelims related information. Shubhanshu Shukla to pilot NASA's Axiom 4 mission to International Space Station. Okay, so he will be the pilot of the upcoming Axiom 4 mission. And is also one of the 4 astronaut designates selected for our Indian Gaganyaan mission. And he will become the first Indian astronaut to go to the International Space Station. So basically, it comes under GS3, achievements of Indians in science and technology. And we should know what is happening, right? Which Indian is achieving what. That much for this article. Let's move to the next article. We come to the, this editorial. Here, this article talks about the recent tragedy, stampede that happened in Mahakumbh, where a lot of people died. And so this article is talking about how we should manage such crowd, right? The science is clear, crowd disasters are preventable. This comes under GS paper 3, disaster management topic, right? So this editor has defined what is crowd crushes. So crowd crushes occur when the density of a crowd becomes too high. So the chances of stampedes will obviously increase. So scientific studies have repeatedly shown that at crowd densities of 5 persons per square meter, where there are people more than around 5% per square meter, there is a risk of crowd injuries. And at 7 people per square meter or more, the likelihood of death or serious injuries is high. So this is scientifically proven. Where there is too much of crowd, they have also objectively defined that, define the data with respect to which this happens. So we should know the definition. So preventing crowd crush requires keeping crowd densities at safe levels, okay, at all times. And these are only entities who can do it effectively are local government, event organizers and promoters who plan and oversee these large events, right? So they are very important. So she has given some important steps that you can use in case study related to crowd management, related, of course, stampedes question if comes on stampede in GS paper 3 disaster management. You can also use it. All the interview people can also tell it in the interview board when such questions will be asked, that how will you manage such things. So she has given few points. They can open more entries and exits. They can stagger arrival times for large events. Okay, so arrival time can be staggered. They can make sure passageways traveled by crowds are free from debris and other obstacles that might compress the crowd into bottlenecks. So any obstacle should be removed and the path should be cleared, right? And they can also segment the crowd into groups to prevent a sudden crowd surge. Okay, so that the way in New Year's Eve at Times Square in New York City is celebrated, a lot of crowd comes. So they segment the crowd into groups. This is the example, best practices that you can take from this answer, this New York City New Year's Eve at Times Square. So it is saying that only local governments can do this proper management, and having a strong economic incentive to pack as many people as possible into events to maximize ticket, food and merchandise sales can sometimes make their intentions wrong. They are not then rightly intended to take care, right? So that is what is the article about. Let's move to the next article. So this article here we'll talk about small data that is mentioned in the top of the text and context page. Number of services offered on Andhra Pradesh Manmitra. So we should know the schemes of state governments also, right? And especially for governance point of view, several kinds of schemes the government is bringing, which leads to competitive federalism. So you should know that, okay? So it's a good example of governance and citizen-friendly delivery services, where the Andhra Pradesh government launched WhatsApp governance platform Manmitra, offering 161 citizen-centric services, enabling people to procure documents in real time using their smartphones. You can book a time slot to visit a temple or book a bus ticket with the help of this Manmitra. Okay, so this is an example that you can use. The other data I've written is about the human rights issues that world is facing, and international institutions is a topic in GS paper 2. So the funds sought by United Nations Human Rights Chief for 2025 is $500 million. Okay, they have appealed for $500 million in extra budgetary sources to support the human rights abuses around the world, from Syria to Sudan. So you can give examples of human rights abuses in essay related paper also. Okay, they have been grappling with chronic funding shortages, and with US coming out of so many multilateral organizations will also be a bigger issue for funding. Let's move to the next article. So we'll directly go to the science page. Okay, so this we have discussed on 30th January also, what WHO's recommendation for low sodium salt means for India. Okay, so WHO released guidelines recommending lower sodium salt substitutes, essentially including potassium chloride, and reducing percentage of sodium chloride in the salt. It's asking you to reduce the percentage of sodium chloride, right? So international body WHO recommended reducing sodium intake to less than 2 grams a day. Okay, so in 1950s, people, the bodies encouraged taking salt because they were treating iodine deficiency with the salt, so that was the purpose. But now, and also lead to slowed growth of children with hypothyroidism. Okay, but now the situation is different. A lot of sodium is leading to high blood pressure, so it will tell the way also, right? So yeah, so sodium is the primary ingredient in salt, NaCl, hitches a ride with water and travels the bloodstream. So it combines with water and travels in the bloodstream. Sodium forces the body to retain water, and more salt naturally means more water in the blood vessels, which increases the pressure. Okay, so reducing salt consumption significantly decreases the volume in the blood, thus impacting blood pressure positively directly. Okay, so there should be efforts to reduce sodium intake and reduce the risk of hypertension, related non-communicable diseases, cardiovascular diseases, right, through a range of policy actions and public health interventions, right? So here they are also talking about it leads to hypertension, atherosclerosis, which leads to a lot of fatty deposits in our plaques, which build up inside the arteries. Okay, so the data is also given. Globally, each year, 8 million deaths are associated with poor diets. Out of 8 million, 1.9 million are attributable to high sodium intake. So high sodium leads to 1.9 million deaths annually, right? We're supposed to know this. While the benefits of a low sodium salt are plentiful, experts also caution that upping potassium intake is not for all, particularly those with kidney diseases. Okay, so that's it for this article. Let's move to another disease is also associated with high potassium levels, which is hyperkalemia, right, which is excess potassium levels in the blood given poor health seeking behavior in the country. So hyperkalemia, you should know what it is: excess potassium level in the body. Okay, so let's move to this article, which talks about leprosy. Government plans to employ targeted containment to stop leprosy transmission. So these both articles comes under GS paper 2, issues related to social service sector, especially health sector. So the diseases that government is supposed to reduce and make its population as healthy as possible, right? So the Union Health Ministry is looking at a more targeted approach to contain leprosy in India, right? And WHO's criteria of less than 1 case per 10,000 population at national level in 2025. This status we have achieved, but we want to reduce it further to contain the chronic infection, and it is caused by Mycobacterium leprae, Okay, Mycobacterium leprae, it can come in prelims. You should know the this bacteria. And government is now approving a new treatment regimen for leprosy, aiming to stop its transmission at the sub-national level by 2027. The 3-drug regimen for bacillary cases in place of a 2-drug regimen for 6 months. Okay, so the 5 states in India with the highest prevalence of leprosy are Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Maharashtra and Odisha. Right, and we want to achieve zero transmission of leprosy by 2027, which is 3 years ahead of the Sustainable Development Goal. So, Union Health Ministry has launched the National Strategic Plan and Roadmap for Leprosy to finish leprosy by 2027, that is 3 years before the SDG goals. Okay, so that much is enough, and it also includes some awareness for zero stigma, discrimination, promotion of early case detection, and prevention of disease transmission of prophylaxis, okay, and roll out a web-based information portal, 𝐞𝐥𝐻 2.0. Okay, so elimination status at National Leprosy Eradication Program has started. You should know what is leprosy. It is a neglected tropical disease that still occurs in more than 120 countries with around 2 lakh new cases reported every year. Okay, so it's a huge issue. As per data of 2023, Brazil, India and Indonesia continue to report more than 10,000 new cases. So this is the issue about leprosy. Last article for the day, Salmonella bacteria, right? The weather linked to heightened risk of Salmonella outbreaks. So with climate change, the temperature is rising, which will lead to such bacterial outbreaks, okay, which can lead to several diseases amongst us. So according to according to news research from University of Survey, climate change has an impact on Salmonella spread. Salmonella is a type of bacteria that causes food poisoning. Okay, we have heard about food poisoning. It can cause diarrhea, fever, stomach cramps, and is most prominent in areas with poor sanitation. Okay, so it will increase with warmer temperatures, relative humidity, dew point temperatures, and longer days were identified as key weather factors associated with an increase in the Salmonella case. Okay, so that's why climate change is going to lead to several different outbreaks of diseases also. That's it for 31st January.